welcome back into another episode of the Buckeye Blitz podcast. Welcome to Buckeye Friday. You made it. Congratulations. It's Friday. It's game week. We're at another junction in the season. We've reached week 3. We play the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. So let's dive right in. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Ryan Day finally made a decision. Kyle McCord is the guy going forward. He will be the starter. Regardless of how you feel or who you wanted, we needed to do this. He needs the reps. Whoever was going to be the starter needed the reps this week, so it's going to be Kyle McCord. The offensive rhythm was disrupted every time we changed quarterbacks. I'll dive into that a little bit more as we get into the offense, what I'm looking for from the offense this week, but it needed to be done. So right off the bat, I'll give you guys my score prediction. I think the ability of Western Kentucky to sling the rock, plus the clock rules, I'm thinking it's going to be like 42-17. It's kind of my take. I think that there will be more time for Ohio State to have the football because when you throw the ball, incompletion stop the clock. So Western Kentucky does throw the ball a lot, so we'll see. What I'm looking for on Saturday against Western Kentucky and players I'm paying attention to, so on and so forth. I normally start with the offense if you guys have been here before, but I'm going to start with the defense this week because although there's a lot of question marks around the defensive line, the defense as a whole has only given up 10 points, and so that's averaging 5 points a week. And so I want to continue to see them playing fast, aggressive, downhill, with no hesitation. So that's like the number one thing for me I've seen the last couple of weeks is they are flying around, which is a good thing. Without a doubt, though, the number one thing I'm looking for this week is pressure from the defensive ends and the defensive line. I can accept the explanation that Indiana was trying to get the ball out in under 2 seconds, and they didn't drop back very much. YSU, same thing. They were dropping back on fewer occasions. It's not like they were making 5 and 7 strap drops and they're holding onto the ball for 4 or 5 seconds. I can accept that as a reasonable reason, if you like that term, as to why. But I want to see our defensive line dominant and consistent and constant, putting pressure on Austin Reed. Make him uncomfortable early and often, forcing him off his spot, make him make difficult throws, make him make rushed decisions, because he's a veteran quarterback. So you need to harass him early and often. The second thing I'm looking for this week is how the corners play. I expect that we're probably going to see 4 corners this week. I'm guessing it's going to be Igbinosun, Burke, Hancock, and Jair Brown. I think will be the 4th. I don't know how much you'll see Sonny Styles as wide open as the Western Kentucky offense is, unless it's in maybe more of that jack role, because I don't see Sonny playing the nickel corner or nickel safety spot. It would be interesting to me. The other thing of note is that Ryan Day mentioned Josh Proctor will be back and will be starting. So will it be Ransom and Proctor or Ransom and Carter or some combination of both? We know Sonny's the other one. So we'll see. Malik Hartford got pulled last week after a couple, I'll call him young football player mistakes, and so I'll be interested to see what they do with him, because if it's like what they did with Proctor last year, they pulled him and he rarely saw the field again. I do think Western Kentucky can wreak havoc with the way that they play their offense, and so OSU will have to be on their game and play sound fundamental football, playing their gaps. Don't let anybody get behind you. Like, I have this in capital letters in my notes. Don't let anybody get behind you, Lathan Ransom. Don't let anybody get behind you, Josh Proctor. Play deep as the deepest. I'm talking to the safeties. I don't have, a lot of concern, but, when you do play do some of the blitzes that Jim Knowles has done. They have gotten beat deep, and we know that. So I also want to see Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson on the defensive line in more of a rotation. Um, Call it a Rushman package if you want, but I want to see like Jack Sawyer and Mike Hall lined up in the defensive tackle positions, and Caden Curry and JTT or um, Kenyatta Jackson, some combination of those five getting after the quarterback, especially on obvious passing downs. Um, I think Denzel Burke played really, really well the last couple of weeks. It looks like he's just comfortable in his own skin. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He looks like, his hips his switching his hips has been good. Looking for the ball, like getting his head around. My concern this week really is honestly about Igbinosin and how far he's playing off the ball. I talked about it on Tuesday. I don't like it, giving a 9-yard cushion. So unless that's schematic and I just don't understand it, somebody can jump on and like message me and let me know. But I don't follow it too much. I don't understand. And then what I'm looking for this week from a linebacker perspective, Tommy and Steele, just keep cleaning it up. Play in your assignments, play sound fundamental football. Don't get out of position. And I think that that'll be just fine. Those two are again. I keep saying we're very fortunate to have them, and I mean it because the leadership and the understanding and the intelligence of the game lets them know where to be, and that puts us a step ahead. So on offense, basically I can sum this up with one word: cohesiveness. We need a cohesive offense. That means the offensive line. That means the quarterback and the running back, the wide receivers, everybody on the same page. It was bumpy. It's been bumpy. The rhythm just doesn't seem like they just don't seem to be all on the same page all the time. So that's what we need. I want to see the offensive line get more push, get downhill, get to the second level, and I kind of would love to see a Chip and Mayan drive where one blocks for the other and then the other one blocks for the other, and we just road grade, because quite honestly we should be able to do that against Western Kentucky. Their defense is not as well known as their offense. I'll say it like that. I'd also like to see us use Travion Henderson more in space. That seems to be where he's comfortable, where he can get a read and one cut and head downhill. He seems to like it's almost like the process of him looking for a hole in the backfield is like it's just taking a quick second, and that could just be game rust. It could just be trusting his foot again after the injury. We'll see. He looks really comfortable now after he made that hurdle over the player against YSU last week. It looked like that got him jazzed up. So hopefully that's the case. But I want to see Travion Henderson in space and some bubble screens, create some mismatches. And same with Cade Stover. I want to see him more down the seam like we did in the first game. Maybe a couple like tight end bubble screens. I think those would be really effective as well. I want to see McCord get through his progressions and read the entire field instead of locking in on one guy and trying to get rid of the ball in under 3.5 seconds. So there was a couple times last week where he forced the ball to almost like a check down receiver over the middle, and there were guys wide open on the other side of the field. It was almost like he panicked and he had a clock in his head and knew he had to get rid of the football, and it didn't happen, or he did, and he checked it down and he had a wide open guy for a touchdown. So I want to see a couple zone read options, and I want McCord to pull it just to show it, just so that people like Notre Dame sees it and knows that it's there and it can happen, especially heading into next week. I mentioned on Tuesday as well, like I want to see pop passes, I want to see end arounds, I want to use our speed and athleticism, because we are superior in team speed and team athletic ability with some of these not as upper echelon teams. and let's get them in space. Let's get our athletes in space and dominate. Um, I also want to see Jimmy Simmons, Josh Simmons, clean up his mistakes, and understanding who to block in blitz protection would be great. And understanding that he has to catch the defensive end when he's trying to undercut for a play on the backside. He needs to either push him or get in front of him, something to make that not happen, because again, I saw it against YSU where, and Donovan Jackson had a better game, but I feel like he's trying to clean up stuff for Josh Simmons, and that's not going to work against Notre Dame, and so that's got to get cleaned up. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Cade Stover or G. Scott lining up next to Simmons quite a bit this weekend, next week. It wouldn't surprise me at all. That's what I'm really looking for. I think Marv's going to have a big game again. I wouldn't be surprised if Emeka Egbuka went over 100 yards in this game, because I think they're going to try to bracket Marv on the outside. So you may see Marv in the slot a little bit this week too. And the last thing I want to hammer on this again, Carnell Tate needs to be on the field. So I'm over the Julian Fleming experiment. I like Julian Fleming. That's fine. He can take the fourth, be fourth on the depth chart and take some reps there. But if you're looking at it from 1,000-foot view, we have a lot of talent. We have an opportunity to win it all this year. It's all got to come together. So I want our best players on the field, and quite honestly, the best of that group is Carnell Tate. So let's put Marv, Emeka, and Carnell Tate on the field, and let's run. Let's go. From a Western Kentucky point of view, if you were wondering, you're still hanging on with me, they're coached by Ty Helton. That's actually Clay Helton's younger brother, so Clay Helton from USC. Austin Reed is a senior quarterback. He can sling the ball around. He's fairly mobile, so he can run. He can pull it down. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns last week. So he moves well enough in the pocket. He understands the game is a good way to put it. And it's pretty impressive. I like what he brings to the table. And he's seen a lot of football. So we're going to have to make sure that we're getting him off his mark and confusing him and putting pressure on him, as I mentioned earlier in the show. Skill positions, keep an eye on Musa Berry, a wide receiver, and then Blue Smith. Yes, that Blue Smith that was a Buckeye. He's actually in his 6th season, so he took his COVID year. Kind of pay attention to those guys. They do spread the ball around quite a bit. My biggest concern is actually Malachi Corley. Watching his game film, watching what he's been able to do the last couple weeks, he may cause some issues for Ohio State, just the way that they use him in some of the mesh routes. He makes me worry a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to, this game may be closer than we want. It wouldn't surprise me if it is. I'd love to sit here and say, well, the corners are going to shut them down, and they're not going to get over 200 yards passing. But until I see it to believe it, until I can see us getting constant and consistent pressure with our defensive line, this may be just one of those games where you want to pull your hair out. So we'll see. Western Kentucky's offensive line is okay. A lot of true juniors, so they do have some experience, but they're very adept at pass blocking too. They're used to it. At running back, their guy Poindexter, pretty versatile, but probably not your traditional type of back, I would say. He does a lot in the offense. He does a lot of different things, and he's very, very good at blitz pickup and run blocking. So, as far as a running back, he's very good at blocking. Defensively, I'm going to be honest here, they're not very good. I do feel like what they have on offense is the exact opposite of their defense. They run a 34 with a star position, so it's interesting. It's almost like a 3-4 hybrid, and so it's almost like a 3-4-4. It's a little bit different, and when you see it on Saturday, you'll understand what I mean. It's a little different. They do have a couple guys I'm just curious to watch. They flash a little bit on film. The first one is Jaquez Evans, strong side linebacker. He flashed to me. He's a true junior. He would remind you of, I don't know. I don't want to. he just has a nose for the football. I wanted to say Barrett Browning, but that's not a fair comparison because he's not Barrett Browning. But he has a nose for the football, and he moves well laterally, and he just flashed to me when I was watching some of their game film. And then they have a sophomore defensive end, Jaden Loving. Honestly, probably with another season under his belt, it wouldn't surprise me if he transferred to a bigger school. Like he plays well, and I'd be really interested to see him in the Ohio State system where it's 4 down linemen. Very very interesting prospect. Just a couple guys on defense that flashed to me. Their defensive backs, they do have some experience back there. We'll see how that plays out. Especially since they do have a star position, which tends to be a safety and not a corner. So if we're running 12 personnel, be interesting to see how they match up. I'm also interested to see how our line handles, the defensive line handles their assignments this week. Are they playing assignment football? Are we making sure that we're setting the edge? So we'll see how that comes out. And the last piece, I guess, Western Kentucky, will they give our offensive line fits? So, are they going to cause issues? Are they going to give McCord plenty of time to throw? Is he going to be able to step up in the pocket? Will he be able to get through his progressions? And then on the flip side, again, as I mentioned, for our defense against their offense, are we going to be able to set the edge, get pressure, be where we need to be? And so that's really it for me this week. It's kind of an intriguing game. I think that people, including myself and a lot of other folks, are waiting. We've been waiting to see a real offense and see how the defensive backs really look, because there was a couple plays last week where I went, why is Cam Martinez in one-on-one coverage with their slot wide receiver 25 yards down the field and he's wide open? So those are the kind of questions that I would like to see answered this week. And I think for me it makes more sense, just me, to have Jordan Hancock on the field in that nickel position, and I mentioned it on Tuesday. So it's going to do it for me today. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Go Bucks! It's Friday. Enjoy some weather tomorrow. Remember, kickoff is at 4:00, so you'll have the majority of the day until it's a weird kickoff time. So you'll have the majority of the day to do what you need to do. Go fishing, go hiking, get outside. It's going to be beautiful weather. So I hope to see you tomorrow at the game. If you see me, come up, say hi, chat with me. I'll be in the club section, and enjoying some really nice weather and hopefully a really big win by Ohio State. Should be, again, beautiful. So if it does get out of hand, stick around, cheer on the team, cheer on your second and third teamers. Be my encouragement to you. And I do want to put this out there, and I was almost done. I wanted to mention, so recently there's been more talk about NIL, and the Brandon Baker recruitment sounds like it's coming down to NIL. It sounds like Texas has the bag and is going to drop the bag for Brandon Baker. And we are far from where we were last year in the NIL space. But they still need help. Ohio State still needs help to be a premier. They're not Oregon, they're not Texas, they're not Miami. Those teams have a huge advantage when it comes to NIL money. And so I guess the university as a whole is backing a couple of organizations. One is the foundation, and I do donate to the foundation. The other one that they're working with is the 1870 Society. But what I would encourage is, even if you can't give, maybe your company can, maybe you have the ability to, ask for if you're in Columbus, to have your company start working with them, because this is another one where Brandon Baker, it's come down to, we just don't have what Texas has fundamentally with the NIL. So that's my spiel for that. I know that a lot of us ardent, hardcore, old school college football folks probably hate this money piece, but the unfortunate thing is it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. I would never suggest to tell anybody where to donate or how to use your money, because I know that inflation and everything is crazy and people are just trying to feed their families. I get it. But if you know somebody, or if you have an avenue to help, and you want to see Ohio State stay on top like we all do, those are my suggestions for right now. So, anyways, that's it. Going to do it for me. Have a good weekend. Stay safe out there, regardless of what you do. If you're tailgating, if you're going to the game, or watching at home, just be safe. Enjoy it. I'll see you. And as always, go Bucks.